Kia ora e te iwi and welcome to The Chew. Coming at you from the Pūrako studio at Te Atamira in Queenstown, New Zealand. Ko Arrowtown Dad tēnei, and today we welcome back to Rechew the Fat. We have Hud Rapata back again with us. Kia ora, Hud.
Oh, kia ora, Corey. Kia ora. Ka nui te mihi ki a koe. E
Kia ora. And so to kick things off today, bro, can you please introduce yourself and then give us a little kōrero about where you grew up?
Certainly. Kia ora everybody, and kia ora to the Chew. My name is Hud Rapata. I am originally from Cambridge, born in Cambridge, left Cambridge in 1969, travelled down here to Fairlie, basically Fairlie for 5 years, and never been back to the North Island in that amount of time. So I've been here 54 years in the South Island. Ngāti kahununu Araukawa Manya Poto te iwi, basically Te Awamutu Kiki area is where I originate from, or my family originate from. For me and my family, we're from down these ways, my children and my mokopuna. I have 10 mokopuna and 2 greats.
Cool. Kia ora. Just rattled all that off, bro. So you grew up in Fairlie, went to school in Fairlie.
Yes.
Yeah. And when you finished in Fairlie, you moved to Invercargill?
No, we just moved up the road to Twizel. So how our family come down here, Corey, is that my dad worked on the Twizel Dam.
Yeah, right.
Started on the Twizel Dam in 1968, actually. But then the family moved down here in late 1969.
Yeah.
So I was down here for a fair amount of time. Then we moved to Twizel. The only reason we couldn't move to Twizel from Cambridge was that there was no housing for contractors. There were housing for Ministry of Works and NZED workers, but there were none for contractors. So contractors had to live in outer regions like Fairlie and Te Kapo and all those sorts of places.
Yep. Yeah, cool. So you ended up in Murihiku, or you ended up in Invercargill.
Yes.
So how did you end up there? What drew you to Invercargill?
Yeah, so I didn't go too far, Corey. I then moved to Omarua.
Oh, yeah.
And worked on the NZED there, which I then transferred down to Murihiku in 1985.
Right.
And I had 2 children by then, so we were a family.
Yeah.
We're a family unit at that particular time.
Yeah.
Moved down there, arrived down there in 85 and left there and arrived in Queenstown in the very early 2000.
Very early 2000s. Oh, right. So that's when you first came to Queenstown.
Correct, yes.
And, I was in Queenstown then,
yes,
around the same time. That's so funny.
Mate.
Yeah. And so why did you come to Queenstown? Like, why did you make the decision to come here?
Well, it's really simple. I think I'd been in business in Invercargill.
Yep.
And I liked the prospect of Queenstown.
Right.
I felt there was potential.
Right.
To have a look at some ideas in Queenstown.
Yep.
And it wasn't just myself that came, it was a friend of mine as well, Wayne Wainui, and we were both entrepreneurs at that time, and we thought, why not? Why don't we go up there and give it a go?
Yep.
And we did.
Yeah, cool. And so what did you do when you first got here?
Well, when we first got here, obviously we had to find work to keep us going. And then as we got to know the community, we then met some very important people.
Yep.
Like, for instance, the owner of Sherwood, Mr. Pang, who owned Waterfall Park out at Arrowtown. We then visited the park and it was derelict, so we thought, well, being a couple of Māori boys with a few brains, we might put a business plan together. We then took that business plan to Mr. Peng or Mr. Pang, can't quite remember now, and he said, why not? He said he would love to see a cultural Māori centre there at Waterfall Park, and that's how we began.
Sweet.
Yep.
Just like that.
Just like that.
And so was that your first foray into business, or had you done a few business things before that?
Yeah, no, that was my first foray into business in Queenstown.
Right.
And then, of course, we both worked in the tourism industry. I was a bus driver for great sites and so forth. So we had access to a market that we could actually just turn them around and head them up to our way. And that's how it all come about.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
And so how did that business work out? Did you
Well,
enjoy
they went
that?
for 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, cool.
And I think what it was is that it didn't fail. I think they failed themselves. I think
Who's
that,
they?
You know, the organisation or the business owners, if you like, at that particular time.
Right.
And what it was is that I can clearly see now that they weren't in a position to look at longevity. And I know why now, because most Māoris get fun out of the ideas of things.
Yeah.
That's where all the fun is.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that longevity,
Yeah.
it's like, oh God, am I in here for long term? Shit, I was going to Australia next year, bro.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like just, oh shit, okay. So that's what happened. Yeah.
Oh, bugger.
Yeah.
And so now you've got your company now. I understand the business name is Hapori Akoranga.
Oh,
Yeah.
correct.
So tell me about how that came about. And
Yes.
yeah.
Well, look, I've got to tell you a wee story. Can I tell you a wee story?
Yeah, tell me a wee story,
Okay,
bro.
mate. Look, it's quite simple. A friend of mine in Invercargill, right in the early days when I started getting into business, he was from Arrowtown, and he said to me, look, Hud, he said, you know, you don't mind me telling you this, do you? And I said, no, bro, if you're going to say it, you'll say it anyway. he said to me, you're not going to do any good in business. And I said, why is that? He said, because you're too kind, bro.
Good point, bro. That's actually a good point, you know.
And then that theme didn't stop there. That was only the start of the theme. And then I got other brothers telling me, bro, you're too nice. You're not a businessman. So what happened, mate? I fell in love with doing projects. I fell in love with the ideas of things. I'm a powerhouse in creativity.
Yeah, right.
I'm not a business person.
Right.
Because if I was, you know, where I was situated in 2007, in terms of having all these big players around me, if I had to just listen and run with them, man, who knows where I would have been.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, and I sometimes think, Corey, you know, like, you know, I could have owned this, I could have owned that. No, I couldn't, because my mindset wasn't there.
Yeah.
It just wasn't there.
And it's not always about collecting things, you know. It's not always about being filthy rich. Sometimes the fun is the journey, you know.
That's it, mate.
You know,
That's
it's the cool stuff you do along the way.
That's it.
You know, and you end up falling over and you get up and dust
for
yourself
sure,
off and have
for
another
sure.
crack at it, you know.
And that's where you build that resilience, and you build that internal truth in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what matters. And I always use the analogy that from business, I always loved the hunt and not the kill. And
Yeah.
the hunt was the journey.
Yeah, right.
Well,
right,
the kill
right.
is like, you know, you've made
The
your
money.
$1,000,000, bro.
Yeah.
Like, move on.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'd get to that $1,000,000. You know, I was
like,
sniffing it, mate.
that's
and
boring.
I'd go, oh, no, that's fucking boring. Let's just find
Yeah,
something
yeah,
else.
yeah.
So, boom, off that way.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Whānau, I think $1 million would be handy sometimes, but I get what you mean, bro. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes it's the thrill of the chase. It's not the
thrill
catching
of the chase.
it. Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
And so, like, we know each other, and,
Yes.
and I know that you've gone through, you know, you've got so many things going on, bro. You're one of
Yes.
the busiest guys and one of the most ideas guys I know in
Yes,
this
bro,
community.
yes.
So,
Sometimes to my detriment, but
it's all part of the journey, bro.
oh yeah. Thank you.
But the I guess right now you have a business, an umbrella, if you like, that a lot of your projects are working under, and that is called Hapori Akoranga.
I am.
So I know you've had like raka hinunga and other things going on as well. So where did the idea to start up Hapori Akoranga come from?
Yes, well, it was really simple for me. In terms of lining things up and keeping them manageable, I had to form an infrastructure
Right.
that I could rely on.
Right.
And although it is a registered business, it isn't a business per se. It's not a traditional business to make money.
Right.
It is a business that gives us the arms and legs to create ideas to take out into the community.
Right.
And I think that's how Hapori Akoranga come about. It was about a platform that we could teach people about things and help them understand, the complexities of whatever they're trying to move through in community. And that's why Hapori
Cool.
Akoranga teaching.
Awesome. So, so what were your challenges with starting up, or some of the challenges that you face with running Hapori Akoranga at the moment?
Yes, well, I think, the biggest challenge for anything that's working in the community is trying to get people that can resonate and you can appeal to them about what your kaupapa or your agenda is. I think that's the biggest thing in terms of having a look at a community business.
Yep.
Because there's no one topic.
Yep.
It's not that I'm doing a singing group or anything like that.
Yep.
I'm doing a mixed range of topics.
And give us some examples of those topics, bro.
Yeah, well, Rakahingona obviously is an entrepreneurial project that gives our Māori people the idea of what it means to go into business.
Yeah, right. Got it.
And it's also about, you've got to ask big the question, do most people know what entrepreneurs are? Yes, we know it by name or a word, but it's more sophisticated than that, because you have to have a mind that it's not about being the end or to be the end. It's got to be something that that you can gather thoughts that can at least get you to one space, and then you keep going and keep going. I think that's what an entrepreneur is the ability to say, right, against all the odds, I know within myself I've got enough skill base to get me to where I need to go.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it's all about the journey.
Yes, it is all about the journey, bro. And Noho Kōrero came out of the same birthplace, if you like. It was about, I recognised that there was some sort of place where if I created a kaumātua platform in terms of talking about their experiences and why did they come out of where they come out of, well, how did they end up in Queenstown, how did they end up in Murihuku? That journey in itself is quite a journey. That's something that if you look at our parents back in the 50s, it must have been huge for them to lift themselves from the centre of the North Island and have the audacity to bring their family here
down to the South Island
and never been here before.
Yeah. Because
I remember quite clearly, Corey, when we hit Picton, because we came over from Wellington to Picton. That's where the ferry landed at the time.
Yeah.
My father, for all he taught me in Māoridom, bro, he got me up on top of the deck and he goes, see that land we're coming to? He said, you'll always be manuhiri there. And I said, oh, cool, whatever that means. And then I went back to bed.
You're a manu, bro.
A manu. See, bro.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're right, bro. Back in the day, a lot of our people, they moved to the bigger centres. They moved far, far away from their tūranga waiwai to start new lives, to start new opportunities. There were all the trade training things. There were a lot of projects going on, like you'd know because you were involved in a lot of the earth moving stuff for your family as well. Yes. So, you got, back in those days, you're dead right about our parents' age, bro, because they were encouraged to be like productive members of society, which in those days meant going and getting a trade job and going and never mind about that cultural stuff.
Nope.
You need to go and do real work that everybody else does. So for me, that's where that whole urban shift began.
Exactly.
We started moving away from our cultural centres. And that started a bit of a chain effect, bro?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
However, when I look at things today, you'll notice that urban Māori have become strong in their own right now. As we see with with urban marae, so you
Absolutely.
see them reclaiming their Māoritanga, even though they've been living in areas that maybe they don't whakapapa to,
Absolutely.
but they've been living there their whole lives and they're maybe 2 generations worth. But they still have avenues to be Māori.
Yes,
So,
I think you really have. I think you made a very important point there.
yeah,
I seem to think that, like for me, if I look at us being dispossessed from our iwi, our hapu, our whānau back in 1959 or whatever it was, you're absolutely right. There was no culture around us. The culture was work.
yeah,
That is what we learned,
yeah,
what the culture was.
yeah, you're right.
And I look at myself in all the jobs that I've held. I've always held mana in every one of them
Yeah,
because of what it meant, And now that, like I have, 4 children, as I said, 10 moko, 2 grades. I have an opportunity here to lay some roots for my children.
yeah, right.
And it's really important because it's not about leaving a legacy. It's about, I don't want them to go through the disenfranchisement of their language and their culture just because I went through it and was hard to get myself back on track, and now they've got nothing. No, when I go, I would love them to be part of their culture.
Yeah.
And if that means that they'll live here forever in this part of the land, which I'm sure they will, I need to do something about it, bro.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's another project I'll be looking at soon.
So you talked about Raka Hinunga, which
Aye.
is like an entrepreneurial program that you've got under your umbrella. What other projects have you delivered or have you got going on under the same umbrella?
Yeah, well, whakawhanaungatanga is one. I'm
Yep.
really keen to keep that kaupapa going and understanding, the origins, going back to, kupe and all those sorts of things,
Yep.
and bringing it really through relatively simple without actually understanding and thinking, is the history real?
Right.
So, whakawhanaungatanga was one thing that created us in terms of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another one. And, then there was Tour. Tour was a play that was brought together for basically mental health, bro. And
Yeah, let's delve into a little bit of Tour.
Yeah.
So Tour is a play that focuses on a suicide.
suicide awareness.
Yep.
Yep.
And so, where did the story start? Like, you wrote the script for
I did.
for
Yes,
Tour,
yes.
yeah, and it's essentially a stage play.
Yes.
And so, how long ago did you write the script?
Right. Well, I kept saying on the video it was 32 years, but it wasn't. It was 31 years. It'll be 32 years coming up in January of next year. But we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Look, 32 years ago, I lost the friend that passed away at suicide. Suicide to us was not a common thing, bro. Like,
Yeah,
it
of
was,
course. It's a bit shocking.
It was like, that fella committed Harry Carey.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
it was like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
stuff, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's how we talked about it.
yeah, that's
back
how we
then,
talked about it.
Yeah.
But then, he was very close to me because just days, no, not even a day prior to him taking his life, he had actually come to see me at a rugby match. We were watching, and he said to me, Hud, he said, I need to talk to you. I said, good, come over there. He said, bro, I found it. I said, what do you find, bro? What do you find, brother? Used to give each other shit, like, I found the Lord. So, oh, good on you. Giving him a bit of stick, like. And he said, no. He said, no. He said, I want you to come to my baptism tomorrow. I said, you'll be there, won't you? And I said, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll be there, bro. So I went there, 10 o'clock the next day, which was a Sunday, rocked up, no one turned up. Went home that day, Monday morning, walking to work, one of the bros yelled out, stopped his car, run over and said, did you hear about Tere? No, committed suicide. So he killed himself on the Sunday afternoon. So that is the origins of how it all came about. And for me, because we had no sense of this,
Yeah,
like,
right.
there was nothing there. There was no mental paper documentation. Or
No, it was
all
just
that
like
sort of
move
stuff.
on.
It was like move
Yeah.
on. Well, I couldn't
Yeah,
because the bro had just come to see me,
yeah,
and I guess like. Māori bro, like we forget ourselves sometimes and we can just lay the shit in and not thinking that there's a bigger story to it.
yeah.
And I felt, oh my God, I wish I never said that now.
Yeah. Because you probably had regrets about giving him stick, right?
Oh, for sure.
And did you ever like, and be honest about this, bro? Did you ever like feel like you held some of the blame in any of that?
Well, I just wish. Well, it was out of context for him to go to church any rate. So what the hell are you on, bro? Like,
know.
what the hell's happening
Yeah.
here? And
Yeah, so it was a natural reaction, right?
yeah.
Like, hey, what are you on about?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
because he was so sincere and made a point to say, come to my baptism. Yeah, no, did I hold guilt about it? I don't think I held the guilt, but I held some hurt
Yeah, of course.
that I wish that, there was...
That you knew the signs.
Yeah,
or
or yes, that's correct, Corey. If
Yeah.
I just knew the signs, and I understood. So I didn't go to the tangi. I can tell you now.
Really?
I refused. When it was just around the corner from where I lived, and I walked there. I had a couple of my babies with me, and my intention was to go there. And I thought, no, I got angry. And I thought, I got angry at him taking his life.
Yeah, right.
Because, man, he was such a pillar. Like, he was only 21 years old, bro. But out of all of us, he'd got his shit together.
Yeah, right.
And you could see him going places.
Yeah.
And I just refused to go to the tangi. So I never went to the tangi, which was one thing.
Yeah.
And then his brother seen me a couple of times. In fact, his brother was at the show. And he said to me, oh, do you remember the time I come and seen you about toa? Not toa tere? I said, no. He said to me, you told me you wrote a play about him. And I'd forgotten. So, yeah, that's how it come about, bro.
Wow.
It is big. And, it's a kaupapa that not too many people can carry. It's something that's not easy to put out in the public, especially the pushback, not only from people not misunderstanding, but also from mental health. Even days out, even a couple of days out, they wanted to know my safety nets, what I was doing, just in case anyone got triggered.
Yep.
In fact, I'll sum it up. If I had listened to what they were saying to me in terms of making sure that everything was covered, I should have had ambulance outside that Arrowtown hall, carting away people because they were triggered. So, yeah.
No, it's a heavy subject, bro.
Heavy.
And, people have different reactions to it. Not all of it's positive.
No, not at all. Not at all. Even my closest bro, you know him, but I won't mention any name. He's just turned around to me and said, kia tūpato, bro.
Yeah.
And I understand that, But I thought to myself, man, I've been a person that'll just go.
And you got to, bro. You can't be scared of what's around every corner.
Yeah.
Like and I don't know how you feel about it, bro. I think you're similar to me, but it's an age thing. I don't feel I'm at risk of making bad decisions anymore. I feel like I'm old enough to know what's a good decision, what's a bad decision.
Man.
And even if something's a little bit on the line, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm old enough to get away with it.
Yes.
People won't judge you as harshly when you're
Absolutely.
old. They go, oh, Caudle tried his best.
Absolutely.
That's
it.
I'm not calling myself a Caudle,
No,
but you get what I mean,
understand. Yes.
Yeah. Whereas when you're younger, I feel younger people get judged way more heavily on those types of decisions that they make.
Oh, for sure.
But us, it's like, part of me's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
exactly. I've gotten to the age where I can do. I feel like I can do whatever I want within, as long as you're not affecting or hurting anybody else. You're just sort of like, well, my heart's in the right place.
That's it.
Let's try and do something here.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. What you're doing with this as well. I still think it's a great idea anyway. I think it's a conversation that we've got to have. Let's be honest. Suicide amongst the Māori community is a bit of an epidemic.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
It is indeed. We hold the highest suicide rates in the OECD of 27 countries.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy,
it's
man.
really huge. Like, if you want to put it into perspective, let's say, I don't know the exact numbers. So let's say that 14% of people die in the UK by suicide. Now, what's 14% of 60 million? What it is, Corey, it's every 90 minutes a person dies of suicide. So
that's a different measure, eh? Like, that's
it
a lot.
helps you understand,
Yeah.
what is 14% of 10? Oh, that's nothing. But when you put it in, that's one person a day dying every 90 minutes. That in a population of 60 million people, it certainly shows you that it's certainly an epidemic.
Yeah.
But that was just one of the projects, Corey, that
Yep.
that come out of Hapori.
Yep. And what other projects have you got either on the cards at the moment, or have already gone to completion?
Yes. Well, what happened was, when we come home, it's unsustainable. The cost to put on tour as a production is unsustainable.
Right.
So what we are doing right now is creating a sustainable way of tour staying intact, not as the play, but as a platform for the whānau aroha, who are the bereaved families.
Right.
So we're creating a platform that they can go anywhere in any region and talk about their grief to help others. And that really was the essence of why we decided to put tour together. Excuse me.
Yeah, cool. And so you've still got plans for tour in the future?
Yes, no, we're working on that constantly.
Yep.
Constantly.
And what other projects have you got going on under your Hapori Akoranga banner? Have you got anything else on top of that?
Well, look,
Because knowing you have got other stuff going on, bro.
Well, it's been mentioned. It's been mentioned that a marae has been mentioned here in Queenstown.
Yeah.
I picked it up because I had a meeting with Reno, and I said to him, look, we want to know the protocols and what process do we properly follow in terms of even speaking about it. We don't know if there's any organisation at the moment that are looking at maybe a urban marae or a marae or cultural centre. So I picked that up, and I had a really good meeting with him, not only once but 3 times. And I needed to feel, because he's kaitahu, right? Like, he'll understand the higher degrees of where they're at and also the lower. So we come to a firm decision that Hud, he said, and I'll be just frank, he said, look, if anyone can do this, you can do it, bro. That is what he said. And so, and it won't be down to me doing it. It will be about me opening up the conversations to get people's ideas and to work through some of the misunderstanding or what understanding they have or perceive in terms of going forward with the kōrero.
Yep.
That to me is everything that Hapori stands for.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's getting into the nitty-gritty of what is good for us in the community and how can we be of value to make us a better place.
That's awesome, bro.
Thank you, bro.
That's a slogan right there, man.
Thank you.
It's like, you should be on TV with that. So... Yes. I'm gonna shift tack right now, and so this project, this podcast project, is a collaboration with KUMA.
Yes.
And so, through your projects that you've had going on, you've obviously had interactions with KUMA. But more importantly, speak about your daughter. Your daughters are quite key members of the KUMA family here.
Yes.
So tell me more about your sort of interaction with KUMA and how how you interact with your daughters now that they're in the fold of KUMA, but then you're also family as well. So
what a great dynamic.
Yeah, it is, eh?
Oh man, oh man. Have you ever been sideswiped, Corey, or pushed to the back?
No.
Well, I tell you what, bro.
Sometimes
they used to enjoy my advice. Once upon a time, they used to love sitting down with their father. But now they say to me when I go and see them, "Dad, can you make an appointment?" Hello. Are you forgetting something, kiddo?
Get in line, Dad. Get in line.
Yeah, but no, really interesting. KUMA was established out of what we called the corporate warriors, and that was established in the early 90s.
Yep.
And it was a way of Māori looking at entrepreneurial and nationwide, because what we found was that Māori generally come under social things, like, you know, whether they were doing something for the community or for their people or anything, but it never meant that they were in business,
Right.
as business per se.
Right.
That, you know, that it was almost like nobody could see that we could be in business unless we were caring for somebody else in our community.
Yeah. Right.
So that is how the corporate warriors come about.
Okay.
And KUMA is an extension of that, you know, and so is a whole range of things. So I've always had a great interest in KUMA, because I've always said that my experience of knowing how to enter the industry and how to sustain yourself, you have to have an overarching body that takes care of all those detailed things or little things that you cannot untie yourself from your business to go about doing those things. Mm-hmm. So that's how I see KUMA. I see as they're the overarching things that, you know, if they need some training in something, or they need this or that, that's the body.
And so, how have they helped your business, Hapori Akoranga?
Oh, look, they've been tremendous, because they can see that I'm community focused for one thing. I'm taking care of some of the contracts that they may have come up with, or not on a big scale either, but it has happened. So they may have a service that they need to deliver, and we fit it in with that service. And I can see this working for everybody. Yep. And that is collaboration. That is really clever. Because if you understand the power of networking and the power of association, then you understand you have everything. You have everything you possibly need to be successful. So I think that's the reason that I like KUMA.
Yeah, right. And so what things do they help you with? Like, do they help you with to get funding, or do they help you just with the networking to other Māori businesses? Yeah,
I think fundamentally KUMA is a networking business. But networking is the most powerful medium in business. So we must not underpin that or underestimate it. What really will make them even better, Corey, if they organise it in such a way that they don't just become the networks, they almost like become a commerce, like, you know, what do they call a Chamber of Commerce or something like that.
Right.
Because the Chamber of Commerce is really the next step from a networking system. That's how Chamber of Commerces work. You get enough business inside yourself, and then you start realising that those businesses need more attention to detail and more attention to resources. So then you become the chamber. And what that does, it allows you to sit politically in a place where your businesses now have got a political voice.
Ooh. Well, we moved into a tricky area of politics, bro. So I'll dig us back out, and we'll.
Thank you very much.
No, just jokes. So, I'd like to know your recent experience with the KUMA Māori Business Awards, the Southern Māori Business Awards. So we had the awards dinner.
Yeah, fantastic.
Not long ago. So give me your thoughts about that. What were the things that you enjoyed about it, and just some of your experiences with it?
To me, in terms of my experience and where I come from, to me it was the pinnacle. It was something that would establish another generation or another movement forward. So we've built, the last 20 years or 30 years getting to that point, and it's been hard, man. It's been hard.
You mean the awards event?
The awards event. So we're at the awards event now, and that struggle, or whatever they like to call it, is over. That's in the past. We're here. It's where they take us from this event, the awards event, to the future. But it was one of the most magnificent arrays of Māori community at large, sponsorship, all those things that deal with business to make something like that happen.
Yep.
You know, really, to me, it was the best.
Yeah, it was such a cool night, man.
It was such a cool night, man.
I just felt the whole vibe in the room was really, really cool.
Oh,
you know, we were there for business reasons, but it was very much a social, a sort of connectivity event, if you like, you know. So it had such a good vibe. People were having a great time. You know, it wasn't all like sterile like most corporate events are. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I don't know about you, but it felt real Māori, Because you know,
it
was had all those elements: laughter, food, drink.
Just funny. We're one kind of people, bro, that can just see the mickey out of us, see the fun side of us, and it just resonates through the room.
Yeah.
You know?
No. Yeah, it was cool. And so you were the recipient of He Tohu Kōwhiri o Te Whānui, which is the People's Choice Award, bro.
It was like next level. We had no expectations, and we spoke to each other before we went there because we seen ourselves quite different to what the modelling of KUMA is supporting. People in business, creating economic, viability, those sorts of things. We don't do that. So we don't take business to a profit place. A lot of them do. So we didn't think we'd stand a chance there. But the thing is, I did honestly hang on to the People's Choice because to me, if you get the People's Choice in doing something for people, then you know you won.
Yeah. If
you know you've won.
If you are a community, if your whole outcome is community focused. Then what better verification than the People's Choice Award, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It
was fantastic. Fantastic, man.
And so, how do you plan on using this recognition to move forward?
Yes, well, we are starting to build promotional material for tour.
Cool.
Yep, we are starting to do that now. We see us being winners as winners, not just something that was given to us as a winner. Now, I'm not taking anything away from winning, but there are degrees of winning. And nobody could win the People's Award unless you won it. It didn't come down to a judge or an expert or an advisor or a business mentor.
Oh, yeah,
good. You know what I'm saying?
Good point. Because it wasn't a judging panel. This was a community choice, right?
No, it was a community choice. So there are so many variables in the community that you don't know where you picked up your votes from. So that is where we're going now. We're angling that into the community.
Yeah, cool.
And looking at other projects coming on. And what we see now is that we have a platform. Yep. We actually have a community platform where when we start pitching things out there, people are going to take notice.
Of course. Of course. And you can use the fact that you've won the KUMA Award as like, let's be honest, something to brag about, right?
Oh, right.
You can mention it.
Exactly.
And so... So what advice, given, you made a really important point that your business is not about making money and adding to the bottom line. Mm-hmm. This is about delivering to the community. So in your head, you thought, well, we don't really fit.
That's right.
We don't really fit the description of what this is. But quite clearly, you had a place in that awards dinner.
Quite clearly.
Yeah. And so what would your advice be to Māori businesses who think, well, I'm not going to nominate myself for this. It's not for me, or maybe I don't know. I'm not at that level, or these are different types of people to me. I'm just a guy trying to work at the coal face. What advice would you give to them about?
Really quite simple, bro.
Yeah.
What we need to do is stop comparing ourselves. Because once you start comparing yourselves, you start looking at levels or heights that are purely not manageable at this time. So I would say just bring it back and look at everything we do, like organisation, administration, looking for finance, finding sponsorship. That's all business orientated, man. It's just that we don't understand the complexity of business. But that is, if we wanted to and we had the time and energy and the money, we could have turned Tour around and aimed it at becoming a business. We could have taken out
like a money-making business.
Absolutely. We could have turned around and taken out the intellectual property. We could have sold the rights to the play to other areas.
So are you telling me that those avenues are closed now?
No,
you're not?
No, they're not closed. They're not closed. But what I want the viewer to understand, that when you're organising anything in the community, it is business. It just depends what degree you understand it as.
Yeah.
Having administration costs is business. Organisation costs is business. Hiring venues is business.
And so for these small Māori-owned businesses, would you encourage them to go to the awards, to put their names forward to be nominated? Or is it like, it's too scary, I'm not going to do it?
No, I certainly would, because my experience is that in the early days, I would turn up just about to every business there is. I'd turn up to seminars that, even angels treat to go because there was no Māori.
And you didn't just go for the kai, bro?
Oh, well, that was part of it. I've never had these
There's some good spreads at those things, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? This is the thing. I certainly would encourage anybody to put their business up because, success is measured in many ways, brother. Like just starting a business, just see... Don't compare. Just see what it took for you to have the balls to say, "I've got a business. I'm going to start a business." And that's what I would say. Even if you created a pencil sharpening thing, man, just do it.
Yeah, cool. So, finally, I'd like to hear your thoughts on Māori businesses in this region. So, in the southern region, and. So to that end, what unique skills and strengths do you think that Māori in particular bring to the business table?
All right, so one thing Māori have to understand is the power of association. The reason that a lot of Māori don't do business in the early days is because we had nobody in front of us that we could think that could mentor us. So we didn't have anyone that owned a bus company. We didn't have anyone that owned a dairy. We didn't have any of these things that we could go and get advice. We are getting that now. What we have to understand as Māori is that we are a community-based people. We are a we and not an I. So don't sort of like stand back and think that you can do it yourself, because you can actually do it by helping others.
And what unique strengths do you think, or skills, do Māori bring to business in particular? Because we're quite different. We have a different way of approaching our daily life, the world.
There's no doubt about it. I think most Māori are here today. Like when we first come here, Corey, you could count us on one hand, right? Today, who would think that they would have the audacity to come down here and think they can make a life of themselves? And that's called resilience. And that is the takeaway, that we are resilient and we adapt very quickly.
Yep, we do.
We adapt very quickly.
Yep.
And I think that is the key to our long sustainability in whatever we do, our resilience and adaptability.
Yeah, ka pai, bro, ka pai. So what aspirations do you have for Māori businesses in this region?
Well, I think they are at I know they are at the bottom of the pyramid. And that's a great thing, because, the population, I think approximately is around 52,000 for the Lakes District area now. When we come here, there was only 11,000. We know that in 2035, statistics tell us that, we're looking at over 100,000 people living in this area. So for everybody that comes into this area, there is a market. Mm-hmm. And that's how they have to project themselves and create their trajectory based on numbers of what you are going to supply and what is going to be the demand.
Mm.
And if you can get those two things in place, then you are right at the bottom. Because in a pyramid, bro, those fellas up the top are the ones that have won already. And but we're not. We're down the bottom.
Mm.
And I'd just like to encourage our Māori people, by God, go hard because we have the goods.
And so what do you think could help us come together more as a community? And what I mean is the Māori business community. What do you think could help bring us together better?
Well, we got to go back to traditionally of who we are. We are we people. The thing that keeps us disconnected is that we don't have a place. Like we have Te Atamira, we have this, we have that. And you'll find that as groups of or pockets of people, we're either over there, over there, over there, over there. What we need to do, bro, is bring us together so that we have a place of our own. And that our takeas and our kōreros and our kaupapa can go down in one central place. And I think that's going to be the key. That's going to be the key of longevity. Because it's almost like everybody has a hub or an office in business. They can always go there. We haven't. And that's fundamentally what we haven't got. I'm not saying it's a problem, bro. I'm just saying.
And so are you angling towards like a Māori, like a marae type environment, or do you think we need to build something as a community?
Well, absolutely, because you see, the thing is, we are really simplistic when it comes down to who we are. Te Ao Māori is obviously the enlightening of who we are. If we can run whatever we create, whatever facilities we create, and have that understanding, it belongs to nobody. Nobody owns Te Ao Māori, brother. It is light. So therefore, it's open to everybody. But you'll find that we are inclusive people anyway. We don't stand our own. We get nurtured and joy when we're manaking people. So yes, it will happen naturally.
When you say it, you mean
the marae,
the togetherness, or
the togetherness. I will quote Timoti Kartu when he said, "Yes, we are oneness." Quote: "Yes, we are oneness, but not at the hands of assimilation." And what that simply means, bro, yes, we are one people, but we have also the ability to have our own beliefs, our own origins, and to nurture those things. And they shouldn't come at risk. They shouldn't come at a risk to other people.
Yeah. Cool. Whoosh. Got a bit heavy there, bro. It always gets heavy when you bring up Timothy Karitu.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, bro. Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the finishing of our chat now.
Kia ora.
And so I have just a single quick fire question for you. And you might have answered this question before. I'll be interested to see if you've got a different answer this time. So if you could go back in time.
Yes, that's a great question.
What advice would you give to 18-year-old Hud?
Ooh.
Is there any path you took that you wished that you should have taken, or a path that you wish you didn't take? Now, quite often, this is a tricky question to answer,
indeed.
Because you may be very, very happy about where you are now. And so you would not want anything to change in order for your life to be the same as it is. So is there anything in your past that you're like, I could have, if I'd just done this, things may have been different or better?
Oh, that is fantastic. The way you framed that question. Look, bro, like my life hasn't been an easy one.
Yeah.
But the journey that I stayed in and the commitment of what I thought would be of value to one day myself and my children.
Yep.
And my mokopuna.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah, cool.
I'm happy. I'm
That's
joyful.
it.
I do things because of joy. They made me joyful.
Yeah.
Against all odds, but there's nothing I wouldn't change.
Awesome, bro.
I wouldn't change.
So then you just tell that 18-year-old you, haere tonu, you just carry on doing you.
You just carry on doing you, man. And the only other thing is nobody's going to understand you, but that's okay.
Oh, sweet. That's an easy one. And so that almost wraps up our chat for today. So important thing to ask you now. How do people get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, Well, in terms of tour, we have got a Facebook tour, and we're updating that as we move forward.
Yep.
I've always got, my family that tell me that such and such wants to get involved with me. And Mary goes, I just seen the fella that owns a First Table Dad, and he said you picked him up the other day. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know who I'm talking to. But I've got email addresses and things like that, Corey.
Yeah. And you'll see them right on here. Look, on the
go.
other side, on his side of the screen. Kaupai?
Kaupai, mate.
And any last comments before we sign off?
No, I think this is wonderful. I've got to say that we're doing everything okay. And what that means is that we're doing it right. It doesn't mean it will always be right.
Yeah.
But podcasting and taking, creating some sort of control around the narrative when we move forward as Māori is really important in today's environment.
Absolutely.
Really, really important.
It's important for us to tell our truth.
It is indeed.
Yeah. So, nō reira.
Thank you, bro.
E te rangatira. E mihi atu nei ki a koe. So, thank you so much.
Yep.
Big thank you for the chat today.
Yep.
So, e te iwi. If you have any comments that you want to write, put them down in the chat below. If you've got any questions that you want to ask Hud, throw them down in the comments section as well. And remember to like and follow this channel, and we'll see you next time on The Chew. Mā te wā.